Hey, welcome back to the 2 hours per day coding series where I live stream my 2 hours of coding per day in an attempt to inspire you to do the same, to just focus on putting 2 hours of day into coding. And I think that after a while, it will add up and you will make progress in your coding journey. So wherever you are, whether you're up to a lecture, whether you're up to um, some type of assignment or project, now's the time to get started for 2 hours. So let's get right into it. So yesterday we left off on this application here that we're trying to put together. So let me see. Yesterday we left off where we were trying to make this so that when we click test one, it will take us to the profile for test one. So again, all these here will be, I only have one, but all these will be like the name of the user that created the post. And so we want to see the actual, the user profile. Now we said that I want to implement this using React. I'm not interested in changing my my URL. I'm not interested in loading a new HTML page statically. I'm interested in just changing this content here dynamically. So when I click test one, all the content that we see right now will be hidden, and then we will show new content. And by doing that, I believe we also need to make a GET request to the server to get the user profile. So that's sort of what we're trying to do today. So I set it up in a way that the idea is like this. We have this here, which will be our user profile. And so we will be rendering two new divs. The way we have it right now is that we are already rendering inside of this main React window, we are rendering this post form as well as a collection of all of the posts. So we want to do it so that whenever we click on test one, for example, I guess the first step will be to hide both of these divs and just render a new div with the user React profile. So I think that's what we need to do now. I'm sure there's a couple of ways of doing this, but the way I was planning on doing it is just to leave this alone. Meaning I'm not going to add any more JavaScript to this main React window. I'm just going to let that be for my home page. And then for the new one, what I would just do is hide this div and then show this one and then continue from there. So that's what this would do. I think that the new code that we're writing now is going to be very similar to what we already have here. It's just that, for example, at the end here, we'd have to select this main React window, hide it, and then show a new one. Fine. So let's now see how we can implement this. Basically, I want to implement that when I click over here, all of this will hide. Okay. So let's just ask the bot, how do we hide this? How can we hide the main React window from a function? Okay, so in my HTML code, I have two divs, and I'm just gonna paste them here. What code should I write in React so that when I click on an element inside main React window, so when I click on an element inside main React window, I can hide the main React window and then show user React profile. I will then render some other make an API call to the server and render the results there. Let's see. Right now, in my script tag, I have a parent and two children. React components should add a third child to deal with rendering profile. It's necessary to add a third component unless you feel it will make your code more organized or easier to understand. You can handle the rendering of the user profile within the existing parent component by conditionally rendering either main React window or user React profile based on your state variable. However, if the user profile has a lot of logic or markup, so perhaps we should separate it and make it its own component. And so let me just go back here for a second. So here we have the two components, post feed and new post form. Let's make a new one called user profile. And I think I'm just going to put it up here for the sake of ease. We could move it later. A function. So let's just call it user profile. Right now, it might take some props in the future. We'll see if right now we'll leave that empty. And I don't know, I guess let's start here. So the first thing that we would want to do is to make some type of fetch request to the server. Let's see. And I've got my ginger tea over here. So we want to fetch, and where are we fetching to, or where are we fetching from? We're going to fetch from users. We're going to fetch here. This is what we set up in our backend in the URLs. So this is a correct path. So how can we fetch? How to fetch from React to let me see how to fetch using, one second, using how to fetch a get request in React from the Django URL. And this is my URL. In this example, replace user UID with the actual user ID you will want to fetch. Okay, so this fetch request is inside a React component. It's not just inside, but is defined inside a React component. Do I need to pass? I need to pass the user UID to the React component. If so, how do I do that? I don't think I've seen this code specifically before, where you have to write this.props user ID. Usually it's just props, but okay. I guess we can try it, and if not, we can play around with it until it works. But the idea basically is, let me see again. So we want to pass the property, props. We want to pass this user ID that we need to fetch. Again, this is all defined in our Django URL. So we want to make a fetch request. Let's see, we want to make fetch request. And this fetch request, now I don't know, they're using like these here. I didn't use that before. So these are, I don't remember what these are called, but in the keyboard, it's the key on the top left. So this wouldn't be single quotations, it would be this, and this is what you use in JavaScript when you want to insert a variable, similar to using an f string in Python. So we want to fetch from users / user UID, exactly how it's written here, and however we need to insert it as a variable. So that would be a curly brace, a $. And who doesn't like writing a $sign on their code? Okay, so that's the fetch request. And then once it submits, wait, yes, then we want to capture the response. And once we capture that response, we want to strip the JSON container off of that response. Basically, we are already telling ourselves that we need to return over here a JSON response, which we are doing. That's very good. And this is only if the request is a GET request, which we are not specifying in our fetch here on what method we should use. So by default, I don't know if this is a JavaScript feature or a React feature, but by default, this will be a GET, even if we don't specify. It will be a GET fetch request. So yes, we strip the JSON container from that response, and then we save that into a variable called data. And the only reason I know the syntax is because it's already the 10th time I'm doing this. But it's not, you'll get the hang of it. It's not something that makes too much sense at the beginning. And here we want to, I guess, write some code, display data in the user React profile window. And then, so that's what goes in here. And then if we get an error for some reason, the user is not, doesn't have a profile, whatever, or the current user has some type of internet connection issue, whatever the error may be, any type of error, we want to catch it. So we're catching the error. And what are we going to do if we get an error? And because this is like the end of the sequence, we have to add the semicolon like this. If we get an error, to me always the easiest thing to do is just to alert the user. So we just write in here alert. And again, this is a JavaScript feature where a window will pop out in the screen and it will show whatever message we write in here. Let me see here. So the alerts. Yeah, we can just write error. Sir, you got an error, and what is the error? Whatever the error was. Okay? I think similar to what we have over here. We have an alert just for make sure I don't have a typo. I'm just gonna paste from a code I already know works. Okay, so it was fine. And we could add other things in this brackets here. We could add, for example, um, um, I mean, I'm thinking right now from like a user experience, like if we click here and it doesn't do anything, I think it's more than enough just to show the user an alert that, hey, um, uh, uh, um, error, current user, I don't know, we can just write error, um, user not found, something like that. I think that will be enough. I think that's what we are probably going to get over here. I would just leave it at that. Here we have a lot more things that we do when we catch an error, but that's just because of the nature of whatever user experience we're trying to find to obtain. But I think for now this is enough. So okay, so we have this. Now, what do we want to do? Yeah, so we have this on click here for our, so you see we have this post owner, which is the username, is this test one here that we see. Um, and we see that when we click on it, we want to run a function. What should that function be? Let me think for a second. We're not passing a function here yet. Let me see. Yeah, it almost doesn't make any sense what I have over there. I actually don't know exactly what I should put here. It could be I just write use profile or user profile, but I'm not really sure that actually is going to work. So wait a minute. Yeah, so we have this constant. Um, 1 second. I'm just noticing here that we have this fetch data we're not even using. We have something called over here. Okay, fine. I'm just trying to remember here. Yeah, we have this in the main React window here. We have like this constant here called reload, set reload. It's just a constant of what the state is of the reload. Right now it's a false, and then handle reload just changes it to whatever the opposite of the current state is. I do believe that we need to have something similar, just as like a top level control for our divs. We need to have something similar for this user profile versus main page dichotomy, right? We want to either show our main React window, which is what we have now, or we want to show a user profile. And by the way, we don't just want to show it, but we also would like to dynamically change the URL here without actually loading a new URL. And JavaScript allows us to do this. Okay. Ooh, that's spicy tea. Ginger mango. Now, I'm just looking over here. I believe this fetch data can be taken out. So is fetch can fetch data be deleted from here? What can fetch data be deleted from here? Too much text to handle? Yeah, you sure about that? Yeah, I think it can be deleted. Yeah, so the idea was that we wanted to make it so when we click on the user profile, we were going to run this whole fetch argument from this function over here. But that's no longer the case. I mean, we're putting this on a separate component altogether. My only concern is how do we pass this variable to our new component, more specifically to here. So on click, what do we want to do? So let's just take this out for now. And this is how we had it before. And again, we're running, I wish I could hide some of this code. I wonder if it'll let me. How do does anyone know how to do that? How do we hide? Let me see, an upos form. I have three child components in React and one parent. One of the children the first child renders a form. The second child renders a post feed. The third child hides the first two children and then renders a user profile file after clicking on a link found inside child 2. How do I implement this? Give me an example. I think this is similar to what we had before, so let's try it again. Basically up here, we need to have and by up here, really, the way I structured this code here, it's a little bit all over the place, but this is our parent. Let me just annotate it here. This is the parent component. And then this is child 3 over here. This is child 3 component. This is child 1. This is child 1 component. And you guessed it, this is child 2 component. Yes, so okay. Yes. Started 2. Yeah. Yeah, so let's go again to the parent component. We have these two like reload state variables. I'm going to add also now define state variable view and parent. So let's do that. So our constant um, view set view, yeah, equal use state, and we're going to start with true for, I guess, our main window. Okay. And we also want to define our set view function. So it would be a set view yeah. And we just want to say the same thing, basically, just set view sorry, handle view. So how do we change it? How do we change view? Let's just call that change view. We change the view by setting the value of view to its opposite, which the syntax for that is we use the function here that we created, set view, and we want it to have the opposite of view. Yes, so and now here in the return, in the render method of the parent, it wants to be in the render method. In the render method or in the return? In the render or the return of the parent. Yeah, so our main React window is being rendered into main React window. Oof, which means what? Basically, it means that we don't need the second div here. Yeah, so everything will be inside the main React window. And this stays the same here. The only thing we're changing here is our return statement. So basically what we want to say is if, and we already defined on the top here our ambient, right, they're called, or sorry, our state variables. So if our view equals, wait, actually, I think we need to write it like this. If our view equals, I think it's just like this, if view, then dot, 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 and this is what we are returning over there. Okay. If, so this is all this is saying is that if my view is like that, no, something is off here. 1 second. Where will this code come from? Really grinding our teeth here with this code. Hey, shout out to Georgios Konosis. Hello there. Welcome back, or welcome. Hope you're making progress with your coding as well. Yeah, so I'm just trying to think out loud here what the solution would be. This doesn't look right to me. If view equals true, yeah, so our if else statement has to be, I believe, outside of our return statement. So let's try this again. So for now, I guess this will stay the way it is. And let's just go up here. So if, again, if we have our view variable, which is true, then we're going to return. Yeah, so we're gonna do this, right? Yeah, this is what we want. That looks good, very good. And so there's that. Else, we're going to return. And what are we returning? We would be returning that user profile, which is up here. So it's our user profile, and we're passing some properties. Else return our user profile. And we'll do that inside of a div. Okay. Now, we still need to deal with our props. And then the prop that we're trying to pass through is this one here, user UI ID. So that's what we're going to put over there. Equals. Now, I don't know what to put in there. So we define our state variable up there. We also define the change view function in the render method of the parent. If the view is form, render child one. If the view render child two is change view as a prop. To render a profile, how do I pass a user UID from child from a link an element found inside child 2, found inside child's 2 return statement. Let's see if it understands. So it wants to do it like as a third variable here. So const requested ID and then set requested ID. Hey, congratulations to Georgios. He's saying that he just finished his week 2 problem set. It's very impressive. Yeah, those are probably the hardest ones, I would say, because it's such a new concept, right? So it's like shocking. But if you can get to week 2, you have a high chance. It's a high probability you're going to be able to finish the whole course. You might get stuck a little bit in like data structures and algorithms. That week is very challenging, but it's challenging in a different way. It's not. It's the novelty challenge on week 2 is the hardest, I would say, out of the whole course. Okay, so we have this constant set requested ID will be the function, and we want this to be let's just call it use state of nothing, and let's write a second one called handle request. Let's call this requested user profile. Now this is a bit of a long name, but okay. User profile. Requested user profile. Set request user profile. It's a bit of a handful, but should be okay. Handle requested user profile. Handle requested user profile. Yeah, the CSAR homework, it's a little challenging. I mean, it can be challenging. I didn't think it was, for me, it wasn't so crazy. I actually found that was fairly easy for me to finish. The one that was very hard was Tideman. It's so hard that I think they even sell a T-shirt that says Tideman on it. It's got like it's got some type of fame in and of itself amongst the CS50 crowd. So handle requested user profile will be that function, and so it's not taking anything, I guess, right now. But, I really don't know. I think it's user ID. And then over here would be this. So I'm just going to do it like this. I'm not sure that I have to, but just for data integrity, I will be running this through this int method or function method, whatever it's called. And I'll be doing the same thing over here. So it will be set my request user profile to user user ID. Yeah, so I'll set it to user ID, and then I'll also run an int method on it just to validate or just to make sure that I'm dealing with the correct data. And that should be it, I believe, for now. So yeah, so my user ID might usually Hey, Georges, do I currently have a job? Yes, I am employed as an IT project manager. And so my job mainly deals with validating data and just planning out installations of networking systems for large companies. Um, I would say the job is very different from what I'm doing right now, and this is part of the reason why I'm doing my 2 hours of data coding, because I don't get to code so much at my job. I've made a few scripts to automate um, client data, for example, but using Python maybe to like upload data into an API, with Salesforce, if you're familiar, sort of to normalize data for them, things of that nature. So basically, um, I would say that most of what I've done at work in terms of coding is stuff you could learn in the main CS50 Python course. So it's Python that you write and then you run locally on your computer. That has been enough for me. But I haven't been able to do any type of web dev for them yet. However, for the final project for this course, I will be making a CRM that I think could be sold eventually to this particular industry that I'm working in. So stay tuned. But yeah, that's long story short. System out, print in. Hello, brother. Shout out to Shivang. I think Shivang is he's been showing up at the stream a couple of days already in a row, right? So welcome back. Um, we were saying that when we return this user ID, obviously we need to pass. I don't even care. Honestly, I'm just gonna call it user equals whatever this variable is. So it's this here. Yeah, I believe that's what it is. Um, and inside of my post feed, I do believe I need to pass into here the function, this one here, handle requested user profile. I do believe I need to pass that in. Ah, so you play badminton. That's very cool. Yeah, it's good to get in a nice bit of exercise. I personally play tennis. I've been playing since I was very young. I got really good at one point, especially in college. But then I got injured and then just kind of haven't been playing as much since. But I really like the combination of having like a desk job and then on my free time just doing like outdoor stuff. Um, I do a lot of like just outdoor, like even construction, like just around the house, construction or gardening, sports, tennis, beach sports, surfing, that type of thing, or just working out, like doing calisthenics, gymnastics. I feel like that's the perfect, it's like you keep your body and your soul healthy. Like you can't just be a 100% intellectual with like an atrophied body, but then you also cannot be like very strong in your body and then have like an atrophied soul, right? Like an atrophied mind. And I would say an atrophied mind, right? The atrophied soul will be like mind plus spirituality. So that's also important to work on our spirituality to realize that we didn't create ourselves. There's something bigger that connects all of us, really, the whole universe and every single person that ever lived. We're all, in a way, one, or we are all part of one, this massive, massive oneness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the creator. The point is, so I think, yeah, life needs to have those three pillars. You need to be very good at like, intellectual stuff, whatever, professional, if you want to develop your professional career, even if you're not even coding, I don't know, you're in a different field, even if you're just like a researcher or whatever it is, or you work in engineering or you're an English teacher, whatever it is, you gotta be very good intellectually, develop that every day, but also get out there and just get physical, get sweaty every day. Try to work on hard things that put hardship on your body, that's something that is good. It'll break your body down a little bit. It'll only make you stronger. And it'll also make you realize that we're more than just the body. We're a lot more than that. And then also spiritually. So again, it's like this three pillars. Unfortunately, bro, only Jews and Hindus can agree on the spirituality. I think that eventually the whole world will recognize it. I think we're all just like fish living on this ocean, and in the same way that it's crazy for one fish to ask to the next fish, "Hey, bro, do you believe in water?" So I think it's the same for us. We are so to speak in this universe, and we are like fish in the water, but we can't see the water. We don't realize that we are made of, and the whole universe around us is made of the same oneness. But anyhow, that's sort of um, a work in progress, I think, for humanity, and I do see it. I think humanity is getting there. I see on YouTube a lot of people are, coming to the realization. A lot of very influential people online are pushing these messages forward. And I think it's a shift. People are getting tired of the me, 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 me. They want to feel part of something bigger, and we are part of something bigger. It's just that that's hidden from us, and it's our job day to day to dig that well, so to speak. It's like digging a water well in the desert. You dig and you dig, and it's hard, and you break down. The digging is like breaking the body, but eventually you hit water, and when it comes out, it's so refreshing, right? Okay, so going back here, I know that was very deep, and now we're like getting back into very down to earth code here, but that's sometimes what we have to do. So we were saying here, yeah, so this user profile, let's take this one step back, right? So let's just say what we have right now, right? This test one is an A element. If we go into this A element, it's right here. This A element has this property on click. So when we click on it, it runs a function, which means that this on click element needs to have access to the function that we just created, set requested user profile, or sorry, handle requested user profile. We need to pass this as a property into this A. How do we do that? Well, we have this is living, or this is the return argument of our post feed function, and we're already passing props. So basically, I do believe all we have to do is add that as a prop down here. So our post feed here needs to also have an argument of set user. Let's just call it set user. Set user is equal to this here, this whole mess here, this big old thing that goes in there, and handle request to user profile. So yeah, I think actually, you know what? I think that here we can even run also hiding the view, or which we're gonna do by changing this here, this state variable. So this basically this. So what I'm trying to say is, I do believe that over here we can, we don't just do this, we can do more. And again, we're passing that down here into the post feed. So if we're already passing it, then we have to just give access to it over here. So that would be, I really do believe that would be props on click. You're gonna run this function, which is props dot handle requested user profile. And again, we're passing that as a prop already into the post feed. I know this is a bit of a spaghetti code here, but what to do? Like I'm just learning JavaScript now. To me, it's very confusing. It's a very flexible language. So it's not like Python, where it just looks so neat and so organized. Like I would say Python is my favorite language. Like there's no surprises with Python. It's very easy to debug also. It's very easy to see where you made a mistake. But JavaScript is just, wow. JavaScript is a mess. I mean, it really is. And we're obviously getting a ton of errors. Let's see. Um, I wasn't even ready for this. Like I wasn't even ready to see how we're doing in the like in the just in general. But um, yeah, so we didn't even send our we need to pass that user ID into here, right? So how do we pass to this function from the A? How do I pass the user ID to this function from the A? So we have to do it as an anonymous function, which I haven't seen this in a while. But basically, it's a way of declaring a function on the spot, like right there. So it would be onClick, right? And then we're literally declaring a function that in itself has a function inside. I don't think it's that much more code. Let's see. So onClick will be equal to everything in bracket in curly brace here. OnClick will be all this. Wow, that is a mouth. That is a lot of code. Let's try that again and see how we're doing in the front here. So it's still not working. Let's see here. So it doesn't like that I put that over there. It's not liking this. So let's try again. Yeah, so sometimes my int is not defined. Let me see in JavaScript. Let's see. JavaScript convert to int. Sorry, parse int. Yeah. So that's what we need to do there. Okay. I guess int will be in Python, but you know, let's try it again. Close out of here. Yeah, so it looks like we're doing okay. Mm. And so here we are passing just the user ID, but it's actually it's actually post.owner what we need to pass. Okay. Line 24. Okay, we didn't even define a ton of the other code that we need for this, but I'm just trying to see if I just get like some obvious errors before I continue. Let's see. So uncaught type error, props handle requested profile is not a function. How is that not a function? How is it not a function? Yes, I have a lot of monkey code right here for now. Um, and our default is 0. Let's keep reloading here and see exactly what error we're getting. But this is, I mean, it's just a bunch of spaghetti code here. I don't really know what any of this stuff means. It's not even helping me find the actual line. So really the only debugging here that I'm getting is this here on-call type error. Prop stat handle requested user profile is not a function. I mean, we are passing down there. Handle reload. I mean, we definitely passing it like that, you know. It's not a function. Let me just ask the code. I don't really know, but yeah, let's just, after I click this, when I click, it throws the error. Yeah, so it throws the error. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy this. Okay, so I am passing this as um ah, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Yeah, so I have to type in this props dot set user because that's sort of like what I'm referring to it as I'm passing it, as that's the name of the property that I'm assigning that function, and I am passing it. So let's try that again. Um, let's try that. Whoops. Yes, sir. So I am clicking on it and I'm not seeing any type of error. Let's just do something like super, super basic. Let's go ahead here and first of all, put a new line here. Yeah, so let's do this and then type in here alert, and we're just gonna say to ourselves, hello, or you requested you requested a user, and then obviously with this user ID. Let's try this again. Yeah, so guys, this is working. So, but we are passing. We have a big mistake here, I believe, but we'll see. This basically will mean that we can only have one username at a time. So we're not passing here user ID, we're passing here username. So let's see how we can just pass. I mean, I guess we could pass it as a separate thing up here. So we are passing just a string of text here as a username. So that's what we are. There's no user ID in the front end at the moment. So let's just go ahead and pass that as well. Let's call it owner ID. And I think we just write in here post dot owner dot, I think it's PK. And set user. Yeah, so here would be owner ID. Let's try all this again. Yeah, so you request user one. Fine, so this is what we're getting at. So the logic here seems to be working. We're definitely passing the correct thing. Again, I like to break big problems into smaller problems. So the next thing would be, let's upgrade this a little bit. So instead of alerting, what I want to do is I want to hide my post form, my post feed, and then show a user profile. Ooh, how do we go about doing that? How do we go about doing this? Let's see. Um, so we would have to reload all of this. That's what I don't understand. Um, how can I hide the new post form and post feed to show the user profile? Do I need to reload the whole page? Again, in the spec for the homework, it said that we're not allowed to reload the whole page there, so we have to do it without it. Ah, too much. How is that too much code? Um, Maybe there's a workaround. They're counting spaces as because code. I hope this works. Otherwise, it's like a bit of a waste of time. Let's continue. Yeah. Yeah. What a long answer. Let's see. So in this setup, I think we're on the right track here. All right, what I do find crazy here is that if we've only written 139 lines of code so far, what's crazy about that is that if you guys look at the live stream history here, this is already let's see, this is already day 12. So we're 24 hours into this homework, 24 hours of coding, and we've only written 139 lines of JavaScript, which I believe is crazy. Like you would expect a lot more, right? But I mean, I guess we're not really counting the Python. We've also written a fair amount of Python, although some of this was already given to us. So I'm not going to count the Python just because I feel fairly confident with it or comfortable in Python, and to me, it's not a novelty to be able to write a lot of Python code. But JavaScript is totally new for me. So it seems like you're trying to switch between different views in your React application. You're on the right track with using state to control which components are rendered. In your component setup, you're using the view state to decide whether to show new post form. Yeah, correct. If you want to hide the new post form and post to show the user profile, you don't necessarily need to reload the whole page. You can simply call change view when you want to switch to the user profile. So this is where we're getting at. And I think we can add this as a dependency. You can simply call change view when you want to switch the user profile. This will cause your component to re-render. And since the view state has changed, it will now render the user profile instead of the new post form and post feed. Remember to call change view again when you want to switch back to showing the new post form and post feed. I actually don't think we'll need to implement the last part here because once someone is in the user profile, the only way that they're going to go out of there will be by going back or going to the home page, something like that. Now, this must be a feature of React, which I'm not aware of, that when you call change view, when you want to switch to user profile, this will cause your component to re-render. Why? Maybe it's just because it's dependency or whatnot. How do I do that? To switch views, you need to call a change view function. This function tells the view state in true or false. Correct. When view is true, your main React window function returns a new. That's true, but it's reloading like automatically when view is false. Okay, you can change view from any event handler. For example, you might have a button that searches the user profile and click. Here's a sample, and this button is click, which will toggle the state and cause you component. So does ah um does this happen automatically? If so, um, um, is it a feature of React? Yeah, this happens automatically as another feature of React. React's re-rendering processes trigger whenever there's a change in the state or props of a component. That's very interesting and useful. This is part of React's reactivity system, which allows it to efficiently update and render just the right components of your application when your data changes. This is one of the key advantages of using a library like React. Fine. So the point is that because we are passing, yeah, because we have this, we're passing this view variable here in the return statement or the return conditional of the main React window, which is the parent component. So then we have the ability to do that. So well, I am assuming then that um, right away I'm assuming that we can just here just change the view, change view, and that's it. I think that really is accurate. Let's try it. Right, so we are trying it. Let's click on test one, and you see our whole quote unquote homepage disappears, and I do think that the return of the user profile, we're gonna get to it in a minute, but you know what? Let's just freeze all this code for now. Yeah, so I do believe that the return here should be just a simple div, and let's try to test now if this is all working. So you requested user, right? And we're gonna write props, and this user profile, we are passing it. What are we passing to it? Let me see. Yeah, just user. So it would be props.user. Where are we? Request to user props.user. And let's see if this is all working. So I'm going to go to my home page, and you see I'm just reloading. Everything works well. I click on test one. In principle, it looks like it's working. Now, I guess we're not passing the user variable accurately, but in principle, a lot of our code is working well, and we're not getting crazy errors in our console. So let's see where we might have this issue. So yeah, we are running. Basically, let's go back one step. So in our post feed, right, we have the ability to click on the username and try to get their profile, which means that we're passing the set user function. Then from that function over there, we are passing our post.owner ID. So that will be our user ID. So that user ID, is it being saved anywhere? Let's see. Requested user profile. So this is where that is being stored. So our requested user profile, it's what is storing the user ID that I'm requesting. So that's what I'm doing here. And I am passing that into the user profile as a user property. So if we go up here, we have our user property, which has props. And here we are calling props.user. So I don't know why this is not working. I think it should work. Let's try reloading this again. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I'm not putting this in here correctly. I have a different error here. Let me see. Um, I don't know. Maybe if one of you guys watching knows what the issue might be here, maybe please point me to just a hint or something here to figure out. Like just in preliminary terms, I think everything here should be working, but I could be wrong. I mean, all right, when I run this, I'm plugging in their user ID. Set requested user profile is going to, this becomes a use state. Okay, I am aware I'm passing an integer there. The only thing I could think of is that I have a mistake here with the integer that I'm not able to show it. Or maybe that's something having to do with the JavaScript. That's like a JavaScript thing. So the only optimization I could think of here is to try to convert it to a string. Let me see. I don't even know if this code is okay. Yeah, I don't think it is. Again, our user profile is getting a property called user. So it should work. And so let me see, this code is not working. Um, the Let me see here. So this code is not working. Function user profile props and why? Yeah, so how am I using that? I'm using it down here. Um, in the parent component, ah, why? So it really does seem like the AI is having a hard time figuring it out. It is. It renders the div as expected, but doesn't render the variable. User profile. Oh, yeah. Let's console log it. So console log props dot user. Yeah, that's the best we could do for now, I guess. And click on test one. And so even that is not doing. I wonder, how do I add a delay? Let's try that. How do I add a delay in JS? I like this code. Let's try that one. So it's a set timeout. Yeah, let's try this. Let's try to add some time here. So if we're having some issue with communicating with the server, I don't know, one suggestion is that there's a problem. And I've had this issue before on the previous homeworks. So let's add like a 1 second delay here. And then we'll log our props user here. Let's try that. Yeah, sometimes things are happening way too fast, and so you're like the code is not running how it's supposed to. So I still see the same issue here. It doesn't seem to do anything. I definitely have an issue here with my props. Right now, it could be that I have something that could be that I don't even know. Something that could be is that, hmm, yeah, like this user variable, maybe we're using it somewhere else. So let's just change it to user2. That should be unique. So user2. A last thing that I might try is to reset the server. Sometimes JavaScript needs to, I don't know, sometimes JavaScript with Django, it doesn't, you have to reset it. So I'm going to just do that now. Um, where are we? Yeah. So it's loading. It's loading, but it's not. Maybe that's what the issue is. It's an issue of my VS Code and not of my actual JavaScript. So here we see my terminal's frozen. I think that's what the issue is. So let's just, I see that this is loading indefinitely up there. Um, Let me just close out of here for now. I'm not even going to save it. Let's open, resend, whatever it is that we were trying to do. I don't know what just happened here. Okay. CD to CS50. We're at the networking project. And then give ourselves a Python manage Pyron server. Right. So let's reload. Are we in? Yeah. So we reload it. Let's try again. And we still don't see it. Ah, so we didn't put it in. That's why. Props dot user2. I think we said we were gonna do. We'll do user2. Yeah, so now it's working. I think it was the server, just our VS Code wasn't working right, or code space. So basically, what we've managed to do so far today is, and to get this code going, I mean, it's really going, and we're not reloading the page. So again, this will be basically, this will become the user's profile. We can go implement this now, but um, yeah, I mean, this is working now. So this will be like our place where we're gonna put our profile. So just I like kind of playing around because this took a long time to make it work. So again, you're browsing around, your users are browsing around. They click on a username and now they redirect it to the user's profile. But let's note this because it's important. That was still basically, look at the top here, we're still in the same route. So we are loading all this dynamically. We're not reloading the page. So if we click on test one, you see nothing loads. It's all happening through JavaScript. And so now let's go ahead and implement all this. I mean, we almost had it implemented. Um, I feel like we're rewriting code here where we're like copy pasting it, which probably means that we can um, optimize this code better, like rewrite it better, but I don't care. Like for now, I think we're passing the homework. Like we're fulfilling the spec for the homework, and that's all we need. I don't really care about making the software super impressive, let's say. Um, right, so now we're just trying to get our user ID. So let's find that. Yes, sir. So let's try in here. Let's try in here. Let's look at um, our console. So this is a comment. Yeah, let's try that again. So we are getting our array. So no, sorry. Yeah, no. Basically, we should see two arrays here. Why is this not working now? Yeah, so we need a way to store our data that we're getting from the server. Well, let's just go do that. Part of me feels like we should be reusing this component here. I feel like this is crazy. Like, there's no reason why not. Like, we already wrote all this code, and it's like a big thing in React that you reuse all these components. So how would I, um, let's see, how can I reuse this? Can I reuse this? This? I mean, it's not even the same route. That's the issue. We could get smart with the backend code. Like we could have like some type of if statement that says that if we have a user ID, give us one return, and if we don't have a user ID, give us all of them. I guess we could do that, but this is starting to become I don't know. I guess either way, you're looking at writing a ton of code, whether on the back end or on the front end. So I guess I'd just rather um, do my front end, or yeah, because I already started in that direction. I already wrote a ton of code towards that direction, so now I don't want to have to go change that back. If I was for my final project though, definitely would like to just have one component here. And there's got to be a smarter way of doing all this, like achieving the same functionality with way, way less code. Okay, so yeah, let's just copy our post feed. Yeah, we're basically cloning it here. We'll paste it down here so we could still fix it up. Our user profile will be like this. So we're just going to rename that to user profile. I guess we could leave it that the way it is. And obviously our fetch is going to be slightly different. Our fetch, you know what? I digress. I think that It has to be a different view because the return, oh, I guess it doesn't have to be. Yeah, either way, I don't digress. I guess you could down here write like, like user description, profile, or user bio, and then just add a field in your models. Here, just type in bio, like, yeah, whatever. But I'm not doing that right now, but you could do that. I mean, we don't have as a requirement for the homework to have a user bio, so I don't care, but that would be a way of doing it. And then having just one view that returns posts to us. Then if we have a user ID, we'll just return the post for that user ID. If not user ID, return all of them. And obviously we can serialize our posts manually to whatever fields we want. So if we're returning all the users in the database, all the user posts in the database, then we don't need this user bio field. Just take that out, no problem. Okay, so that's future stuff. Let's get rid of this crazy CSS file. How about that? How about they invent an AI that does the CSS automatically? We don't ever have to open CSS file. That would be the best. Okay. I'm not hating on CSS. Just, I think I have some type of PTSD from CSS. Fine. That's our stuff. Beautiful. So our user profile takes this props here, which, that's what it is. No. So yes, again, this we already sort of wrote that in there. Now we're fetching. We're fetching that. You know what? I guess the if-else statement could also be inside of the component itself. Whatever. I'm really making two components that are very similar, so that's why I'm getting stressed out. But maybe this is the right way of doing it in the end. We'll see. But okay, so we fetched then our response. We unwrapped it. We take out the JSON wrapper. Once we have that data, yeah, I guess we want to log it, just because. And if the data is correct, meaning if it's an array, um, if it's an array, what are we saying here? If it's an array, um, then we want to, I guess the array can also be thought as a wrapper, so we want to unwrap the array as well, and then what are we left with? I don't even know what we're left with. I guess it's not unwrapping, it's just going into the data field of that array, if that makes any sense. I don't remember why I did that before, but that's what that is. And then we want to catch the error, console error, exactly. And I do not think that we need this prop reload over there. Like, we're not submitting anything. So we'll leave that out for now. And the return for all this mess is going to be, first of all, we want a div at the top that says the user profile, right? Div. And inside of this div, we might as well have an h1. All right. That says user props dot user2 profile, and that's it. Let's see how this looks. And we didn't delete all this, so let's just get rid of all this now. Function user profile props. Yeah, this is garbage. Okay, so now I believe we have the correct stuff that we need up here. Yeah, so like that, perfect. So beautiful. So we have this is SHA-3 component, function user profile. This looks great. Um, let's see how we're looking here. Um, what is incorrect from here? That's what I'm not understanding. Um, like our user profile seems correct. Um, yeah, our use effect or use state. Let's just reload it again. Don't tell me I have to um, fix up the server. Maybe I do. Let's see. Okay. What's the issue? Maybe I have a problem over here. Let me see. So fetch, then, and this one has an enclosing one. Let me see. I believe so, yes. And the catch also has an enclosing one, which is part of this one for the use effect, and that has that. The return also has a closing one. Yeah. Let's get rid of all this code for now. Anyhow. Okay, so we're getting there, and we see here that we did get twice, like two arrays. So our calls are working. I think just whatever our return is going to be down here might be an issue. So let's see, postfeed.map, class name, post body. Yeah, I don't even think we need this A here anymore. That's the truth. Is the problem with this code? The problem is I have two divs here. And they are separated now, which means that I can only return one div. Got it. So just to make it clear, that's what I was missing, and now we should be good to go. And it looks like we are if we close this test one, and we see all of the posts by test one. Very nice. I would have to say very, very nice. And we can obviously click here, but it's not going to do anything because we are already in the profile. I'm not going to change that. I think, I think that this is looking great. Now I do want to go back to the specification. So clicking on the username should load that user's profile page. Great. This page should display the number of followers the user has, as well as the number of people that the user follows. So here we have already an optimization that we can do. I feel like this is the part where I got stuck last time. How do we return the number of followers? Are we going to return it from here? But here we're returning, basically we return how many followers the user has in every single post. Is that what we want? I wonder. Okay, so I think that no, we don't have to return the same information for every single post. Maybe we can do it down here. But that means that, so here, this data here, this which becomes data, we are storing that in set post feed here. I believe we need a second constant to keep track of that. So to keep track of the user's information. User profile. Let's just call it user profile for now, and then set user profile, and we will just set that to use state, and I will give myself an array, empty array, because let me just think here for a minute. Yeah, so over here we would have to also, so here this is all the logic here for the post, but we need to add some logic now to query our database and get user information and then return all that together. Here we have data. We'll just leave that as it is. And then here we want to have a return of like user data, which will be the user details, their bio, whatever we want. Right now I'm just returning 0 because I don't have anything there. I don't want to keep getting errors. But here we need to add some code. Basically, we need to query the user database and serialize user info details. That's it. So yeah, so let's just say that we want to I'm just thinking a lot here. So let's just call this user profile. Doesn't really matter what we call it. Profile, okay. And then that's gonna be display the number of followers the user has as well as the number of people the user follows. Sorry, so it's not we actually already got the user objects. We have our user here. So we need to basically make two queries now to our database, specifically to our table for post like, or I think we might even need a new model here, like a new model of following or follower. Yeah, I do believe that's what we want. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here right now. I want to just deal with the first point here. So right now we don't have a way of keeping track of this information. We need to make a new model, new table in our database that will keep track of, that will join a follower to a followed user. So let's do that. So let's just call it class follower. Okay, that builds this relationship. This class is going to inherit from models.model. And then we want to call, just like that, we want to call it follower is equal to a user. So that's models.foreign key. And this is a one-to-one relationship, so we'll be using foreign keys for this. Foreign key. And obviously it's a user. If that user is ever deleted, we're going to delete whatever relationship we have here. Model, or we're going to delete his follows also. Cascade. I believe this is correct. No typos there. And we have followed equals models dot foreign key, and it's also user on delete equals models dot cascade. Right, so let me just paste it. I should have just done that from the beginning, but just to make sure I don't have a typo. And with any relationship, which I didn't do that here, I'm just noticing I made a mistake there, but with anything that I store on a database, I always like to add a date to when that object was created. Without this, I don't have a way of knowing, like this could be used for later, right? So I'm just gonna just add a date field here, and we wanted that to be a models.date time field, and obviously auto. I don't want to deal with the time, so just auto not now add equals true, so that I'll get whatever the system time is. And once again, this is something that is not a default. It's something that we would need to set up once we deploy the application. We would set that up over here in the times settings here. We would also need to make sure that our whatever, if it's a virtual machine, I don't know, Docker container, whatever it is that's on the cloud, we would need to make sure that it has the correct time as well, because the application Django runs a script in the background which pulls the current date from the machine that it is installed in. It pulls that into our code, and then it would deliver that date to our field over here. Okay, guys, so that is actually 2 hours for today. I think we made a lot of progress. We got stuck, and then we got unstuck, and then we got stuck again. So to me, that is a successful 2 hours of coding. And I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Wishing you all the best. And again, just worry about putting your 2 hours of code. Don't worry about the results. The results will come. That's it for today, guys. Wishing you the best. Have a good one.